Okay, we are broadcasting live, and we're going to be looking at kind of soul plans today. So let me just, actually that's a good idea. So there we go. So that's, if you want to kind of, that's for Kathy, who's joining me. And let's see. So this is an experiment. I've done a couple of these broadcasts using this new platform already. This is the first time I'm going to be having a guest joining me. So fingers crossed, it all works smoothly. And Kathy will be able to join me shortly. So I'll be walking back and forth between this and Facebook just to make sure that she can join us, and then we'll get started. And this one is planned to be a live reveal of Kathy's soul plan. If this one doesn't come up, we're going to revert back to my other platform, which is Big Marker, but we will see how we go with this. So let me just double check Messenger and just see if Kathy is on. Let's see. So no message as yet, but once Kathy's here, I will explain to you the premise, what we're doing and why we're doing, etc. But hopefully any minute now, and then we can begin. Right, let me just check so that we don't have too much blank airtime. It's never a good idea when you're doing a live broadcast. Right, well, let me start to explain, because I don't like wasting time. So let me start to explain what we are planning to do. I have done a soul plan for Kathy, and for people who are attending the Cameo Retreats event, if they would like to, they can have a soul plan reading. So I thought it would be a really good idea to do a soul plan reading for Kathy as well, just so she gets a sense and an understanding of what it's all about and how it all works. And then I thought, cool, we're back. Take that one down. So I thought it would be a good idea to let Kathy experience the soul plan for herself. And then I was thinking, well, actually, it's really nice to get people's reactions to their soul plan. So why not do it live on air, so that as Kathy's reading through her soul plan, you can get her real-time reaction. So I thought that would be a fun thing to do. Let's see. Let me see. Okay, Kathy says she's logging in now, so fingers crossed she will be with us shortly, and then we can begin. So yeah, getting someone's real-time reaction, I think, is always fun, because of course I get to hear people's reactions once I do a soul plan reading, but when they're actually looking at it for the first time, I think it's a nice way to do it. So just checking. Voila, any minute now. I hope. Da, 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 da. And in terms of the soul plan, let me just tell you a little bit about that as well. I will show you, I'll give you a little kind of overview, look-see. Hi, Naveen. Brilliant. Glad you're enjoying it. Yes, I'm really liking the platform, and I really love that you can see people's comments as well. That's a really a nice piece. So in terms of the soul plan, what it's all about, it's looking at 7 aspects of your life. So we're looking at worldly challenges, your worldly talents, your worldly goals, your spiritual challenges, your spiritual talents, your spiritual goals, and also we're looking at your soul destiny. And what happens with regards to that, it looks at the potential challenges and the kind of possible attributes and talents that you have. And it gives you a sense of, the way my clients describe it, they say it's like looking at their whole life laid out on 5 sheets of paper, which is, I think, a brilliant way to describe it, because that's how I felt when I saw my soul plan for the first time. Let me just double check. So Kathy says, I'm here. Right. So let me see. I'm just having a look now in the back office. So, yeah, this is the first time I've had a guest, so I'm just now looking to see. So I can see that, right? I'm just looking to see if I can see where to add Kathy, which is interesting. I'm just going to press a few buttons and just let me open the broadcast studio and just see if that makes any difference. No, that's not what I'm going to be doing. Next, let's see. I'm looking at you, looking for me. Kathy says, I'm watching you, looking for me. This is really interesting. So I'm just having a look now at all of the settings. And Kathy, I presume you have connected your camera, etc., and done the acceptance piece. I'm just going to press all the buttons and just see if I can find where. Yep, I can see me too. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay. So, host chat. 1 second. All right, let me just try something else. Let me just check this out. All right, 1 second, because I was thinking they would. Yes, can I join? So you need to be on your personal place profile. Invite your guest. Connect camera. Done that. Just having a look. That's really interesting. It is not showing me. It looks different on what they're saying than what I'm saying. So let's see. I'm just going to see if there's anything else that I haven't yet pressed, but nothing looks like the thing that they're showing me. Let's see. Oh, let's see. I can see that. Yeah, it's looking very different. Yeah. All right. Well, right. That's really weird, Kathy. I cannot see where there's nothing that says, that you're waiting, that I can add you. So what I think we might do is we might reconvene. It's going to be a bit of because we can't see the comments when we're in that one. That's the only thing. Do you know what? We might reconvene. Yeah, because there's nothing that is screaming out as the way that you would add someone. What I can see on their page, I can't see on mine. So that is really, really annoying. Yes, I can see that. I can see that you've just posted in, Kathy, which is really weird. So I can see that. So yeah, I can see what you've just typed in. Oh, this is a really, intriguing but annoying as well. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. So that just, we're in the same place. Yeah, I can't see where else. I can't see where else that should happen. So I've done that bit. Your guest is not. All right, I'm going to have to experiment with this one a little bit more. Oh, that's interesting. Waiting to go live. That is, yeah, that's what that, but there's nothing in my thing that says, hey, your guest is here, your guest is waiting. 1 second. Ah, right, okay. How's that?
That's good. I just saw the countdown. Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Hello, Marilyn.
Oh, right. Fab. Brilliant. Phew. Moral of the story, maybe test that bit out beforehand, but hey, whatever. We're all good. So, welcome. So, Kathy, first off, right, yeah, that is very interesting. Right, okay, so I know that for next time because that is a bit weird. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete those from this. Thank you. And thank you for those of you who are watching. Thank you for your patience. Let me go back to my public stream so we can see. Hi, Richard. Thank you for joining us. So, Kathy, what I was just kind of saying to people, what I thought it might be, well, you heard what I've been saying. So before we get started, do you just want to give people a little bit of context for what's happening with Cambio retreats in November, if people are watching this in real time, and then we'll get started with what we're going to do?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we've got a retreat coming up in November, next week-ish, the week after, 3rd to the 10th, and it's for anybody, it's not for anyone, it's for people that are probably at a crossroads, a little bit stuck. Life's probably just thrown them a pile of something, and it could be redundancy, divorce, something to make you question who you are, where you are, what the hell you're doing and why you're doing it. And you can't think about it because you're too busy, and life is work and kids and husbands and people around you are also trying to get in on your time, and you need to just take a sidestep. But if you do, you feel like everything's going to fall apart. But if you can take a sidestep somewhere safe, which is what we're offering you, this little cushy, lovely, beautiful, safe place in Spain for a week, what we'll do with you there is help you figure it all out, take you from point A to B. So where you are now, maybe confusion, questioning, stuck, have an idea, don't know what to do with it, want to do it, want to not do it, started a book, haven't got time to finish it, started a business, no one's going to believe me, it's not worthy, it's not good, it's not, I'm not rich or famous to do all this, whatever it is, we're going to help to take you step by step. So little bit, literally hour by hour through the days until the end of the time. And then when you go home, you'll be like, my life's sorted out, basically. And then get you to put something in place before you leave, so that when you get home, it's not like, now what? I haven't got the safety of all those people and that lovely place and everything. We'll get you'll put something in place, so by the time you get home, it's already running. So the ground is already running. So you just step onto it and carry on. All with a foundation of completely healthy food the whole time you're there, so that your gut will be clear, your brain will be clear, you'll be getting out of your own way, you can see, think and feel clearer, and you'll be able to trust your intuition because you'll be able to feel it better because your gut's going to be much clearer. Along with that, you're going to be around these amazing people. Obviously, all of us, Marilyn, Jackie, Rachel, myself, Mark, Jayza is joining us now. I've not told you that yet, Marilyn. Jayza's joined us. She's going to be doing yoga. And all the other guests that are going to be there. And we're going to have such fun and such safety and conversations. It's going to be incredible. And also, there's therapies to balance you. There's yoga, everything just to kind of anchor in all the goodness, get away all the badness, all the things that aren't serving you anymore. And we're going to give you a lovely place to put your baggage, dissolve all the toxicity, and just be clearer. And all this good stuff that you already have is going to come to the surface. And we're going to do it in a really nice place. And quickly, so you don't have to relive your same old story over and over again, lying on a couch. No?
Brilliant. And the picture you can see there, that's the lovely Mark Twistle. He is the private chef for the whole retreat. So all of the food is sourced locally, cooked fresh every single day 3 times a day, and you get a glimpse there of, you know, what the backdrop will be. And Kathy and I've done a whole video on this where we actually take you on a virtual tour through the whole retreat, including into the bedrooms, the bathroom, the grounds, the pool, the jacuzzi, everything. So I can post a link to that one later. So the context for what we're doing here today is we are going to be looking at your soul plan. Now, the soul plan, Kathy hasn't seen her soul plan yet. So what I'm going to do now, while I am talking, I'm going to cue that up. Right, Kathy, I'm hitting the send key now on your email. So it will be winging its way over. And Kathy hasn't yet seen her soul plan. But because I'm going to be offering soul plans to the retreat attendees, thought it would be good for Kathy to see what it's all about, because she's heard me say the words. She hasn't actually seen her soul plan. So I decided I'd send it. And then I thought, well, actually, what might be really good fun is if what we do is Kathy will look at her soul plan live and we'll get her initial reaction. That's not your soul plan on screen, Kathy. That's just a random one.
Okay.
So people can see a little bit about what it looks like. So once that arrives, Kathy will and Kathy, what I'm going to say, because the soul plans are very personal and often, it's a little gaggle of kids going past. They always sound wonderful. So it's kind of very deep and very personal. So I'm going to leave it to your discretion. If there's something in particular you want to say about the soul plan, what you might just say is, oh my God, that third one in Worldly Challenge is totally me, for example. Or
okay,
you know, the 5th one along in my worldly goals, that really resonates. Or, you know, so I'm going to leave it to your discretion what you want to say and how you want to share. And what I'll maybe do is, just to put it into context, I'll give people a little overview of my soul plan, because everybody's heard the, you know, I contemplated suicide at, you know, in September 2000, yada 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 story. So that's no big deal. So kind of we'll take it from there. And just in terms of what people have said about the soul plan, so one of my clients said, thank you for an amazing call. It's unbelievable how accurate it is about me, because the report is nice, but when you really get into it, where you start looking at the depths of the report, you start looking at the limiting beliefs, you start looking at the suggested therapies, the self-help methods. What I always find is I will say to someone, for example, their soul plan might say something about to overcome this challenge, it's really good to do some volunteering. They'll go, oh my God, I signed up for a volunteer organization last week. Or I might say something about taking up some sort of dance, and they'll go, oh my God, I signed up for jazz dance last week. You know, it's almost like it's preemptive, and, you know, how it brings it to the surface. Someone else said, one of the kind of teleseminar calls that I did, thank you so much, Marilyn. That was fantastic. It was really accurate and just what I needed. And I do find that the soul plan does come just at the right time and always at the right moment. So, you know, always really interesting and fascinating how that goes. So yeah, has it arrived, Kathy?
No. My Outlook is just spinning at the minute, so
all right. What I might do, because I think I closed it. I'm gonna also, have you got your Facebook open?
Yeah.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll drop the PDF into Messenger, maybe.
Perfect.
Let me do that.
Yeah, that'd be better. Me and my big ideas about doing it that way. I've had a few of those lately.
So let me do. So those of you who are watching us, thank you. You're watching a real time. If anyone's ever doubting, is this live? It's like, you totally know it's live now. So there we go. PDF. Put that there and hit that. Okay, so so the PDF should now be in Messenger. I can see that you've seen that. Perfect.
Just plug myself in case it decides to stop halfway and annoy me.
Fabulous. And also, I like having fun with stuff. So at one point I thought, I wonder what we like to do a group soul plan reading, and then we do it as a massive teleseminar. So I did, like, this is one of my crazy ideas, 50 soul plans for £50.
Oh my God.
I know, it's crazy. But this is what one of my clients said. She said, because one of the things I say about it is the soul plan is one of those investments that keeps on giving. So Kate had said, I've just revisited my soul plan 7 months after the initial reading. Somehow it seems to resonate resonate even more now. So if you're on the fence about whether to take up this amazing offer, this offer doesn't exist anymore, I can highly recommend it. Kate Thomas Jones from Angeli Jewelry. And I looked at my soul plan 2 years ago, so it would have been 5 years after I'd done my soul plan, had exactly the same experience as Kate when something that I read in 2013, which was like, meh. I read it again 5 years later. I'm like, oh my God, that is totally live. And that is totally where I am, because it's about your life as opposed to just a little snapshot in time. All right, Kathy, so it's arrived. Have you?
I've got it. I've got it. I'm just having a look through it. I think you'll have to explain what the numbers mean.
Well, the numbers, that's what we'll go through in the reading. So
okay, fine.
Initially, they get what you've got. They get a copy of the soul plan report, which is the summary, and and that Star of David where they're all plotted. So what you're going to be looking at, let's say it starts with your worldly challenges. For you, that's 2. So you get a kind of a little sense of what it means from where it says the potential attributes and the possible challenges. So the potential attributes are things that potentially you have the skill, the talent, the ability to do. The possible challenges are challenges that may stand in the way of you doing those things. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So in terms of the worldly challenges, just starting from the top, when you read through that, what's your initial thought and what stands out for you?
I'm very intelligent, she says in a really duh kind of way. That's cool. I'm glad. Nice to be recognised. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't mind reading this. Very intelligent, highly logical, analytical. Definitely. I'm always analysing and questioning everything in a positive sense. Good. Simulates concepts. Yes. Sees the truth. I hope so. I think I do. I feel I do. Question it sometimes, but expander and builder. Yeah. Channel, as in a channel for energy channel. Yeah. Cool. That because I've never really acknowledged that, but I know stuff. So possible challenges. I don't mind saying this either. Dealing with loss. Yeah. Avoiding goals. Yes. Notable ups and downs of mood, depression. Absolutely. Being down in the depths, and I can rise to the top of euphoria. A lot of people can, but yeah, that is something I have struggled with a lot. Similar journey to yours, Marilyn, what you were referring to earlier. Tendency towards dependency. Yeah, I'm not really sure what on, but I recognise the feeling.
Yeah.
Difficulty assimilating concepts. Oh God, yeah. I was on a call the other night at like 3 a.m. and the lady talking to me is my coach. She was talking to me, and I'm like, I can hear all the words and I understand the whole thing, but I can't quite grasp it. Yeah, definitely. And I get own truth and own way. Is that as in get in your own way?
And it's one of those things that it's about kind of your own truth and doing things in your way, the way that suits you, rather than kind of following the norm, following the crowd, etc.
Yeah. Oh, and that's a possible challenge. Okay. Yeah.
And also, so with regards to the 11-2, the 11-2 is about what they call assimilation and structure. It's some of the polarity. The polarity is life and death, which is where it's referring to the dealing with loss, etc. Yeah. So do you want to hear some of the potential limiting beliefs while we're about it for the 11-2?
Oh, I see. Yeah, go on then.
Okay. So some of the limiting beliefs that are: I am lost. I need you to help me grow. I will never get it. I am a failure. Success will kill me. I will mess up. I'm not ready. Now, the reason, let me just clarify something. The reason it says potential attributes and possible challenges doesn't mean you've got all of them. There might be just one or two that resonate, or none. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a list. You go, oh my God, I've got to have all of those. And so when it kind of suggests also the limiting beliefs, so there often is one or two of those that resonate. Somebody goes, oh my God, it's that. So when we're on the retreat, when we're looking deeper than beyond just the report, we'll be looking at, okay, what are the limiting beliefs that resonate and kind of what's coming up. They all of the soul plan aspects, and there are 22 different combinations you can have. They all have suggested therapies, and they all have suggested self-help methods. So if we're talking about the 11-2, they suggested things like counseling and psychotherapy, boundary tapping, cord balancing, so kind of working with your energies. In terms of self-help methods, things like yoga, the Bates method, meditation, and literature about Taoism. And so and when you have it in the worldly challenge position, which is where yours is, because it means something slightly different depending on where it is on that, what I call the Star of David. Worldly challenge is potentially reticent to achieve as lacking structure and resilience to deal with failure. Can be lost, can sometimes feel lost, maybe even have what they might call learning difficulties, and has their own soul truth, so doesn't go with the norm, and can have mood swings. And so
especially the last two.
And also the whole thing about it is when you really though get into the potentiality of it in terms of being able to assimilate concepts, you can then and actually that's what you've done with Cambio Retreats. You've taken an idea, something that didn't even exist, and you bring it down and you fashion it and you create something out of it. So do you know what I mean? All right, so have a quick look at the next one then, the worldly talents that for you, the 5-5.
Potential attributes: pioneering, intuitive, spiritually open, adventurous, assertive, articulate, visionary, and creative. I can identify with all of those. Yeah, that's really accurate. Possible challenges: highly sensitive, too much so. Yeah, I think so. No, I'm not. Ethereal, ungrounded, manipulative, misuse of intention.
Intuition.
Oh, sorry, intuition. Oh, yeah, sorry. I should put my glasses on. That's interesting. I don't want to admit to that, and I hope not, but it feels a bit weird. Difficulty fitting in, definitely. Victim of abuse, don't know, but think so. Actually, yeah. You'll never, right foot issues, you are not going to believe. Well, you know I sprained my ankle a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. Was it the right one?
What's that?
Was it the right ankle?
It's the right one. It's still sore. I was going to go out for a walk today. I haven't had a pair of shoes on since then. Haven't actually been out since then. I have once, but I had sandals on. But I haven't actually put some shoes on. I was going to put them on this morning to go for a walk. Anyway, I had an email and it went pear-shaped. So, but it's still sore, and that's my right foot. And I kept thinking, what? Because I wasn't doing anything. I was literally standing still at the side of the road, waiting to cross the road, looking right and left like I'm supposed to. And I literally just went over on my ankle, and it was agony.
Oh, interesting. And you know, and it's one of those things you could get deep and metaphorical about and go, okay, what were you worried about stepping forward? You know, because there can be times where and also one thing I will say, the downward triangle, the worldly stuff, that tends to be most in play from the age of 0 to 30, possibly 35. The spiritual comes into play more around the 30-35 mark, and then for the rest of your life. That doesn't mean to say that you suddenly get more spiritual when you hit that age, but a bit like if we think of it in terms of, let's say, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, in terms of self-actualization, you start thinking about different things. So oftentimes with these worldly challenges, there are things you would have come up against from childhood to now. So oftentimes people look and go, well, that was me, or I did have that, or da-da-da, and they're getting to the tail end of that and moving into it. But with something like the right foot issue, the kind of thing about stepping forwards, this can be things about, taking up a challenge, stepping forward in your own life, reclaiming your place, sense of power, whatever it might be. Do you know what I mean? Or if there's been something, sometimes clients might say, oh my God, I've been thinking about that and I wasn't sure, should I do it? Should I not? So there's that kind of reticence about should they step forward. So interesting.
Very.
When you have it in the worldly talents, the things that are really kind of strong for you would be the pioneering, being courageous, assertive, and highly articulate. And the 5-5 energy is about spirit and freedom, and it relates to thought, speech, and action. So it's kind of like the ethereal swan. And so in order to really step into the power of that, some of the beliefs that might stand in the way as you're coming into the world, things like, I do not fit in, I must not speak up, the world is heavy, overwhelming, I must hold back, I must conform, and if I can't see, hear, touch it, and feel it, it isn't real. So not wanting to deal with the real sort of intangibility of life. You want something a bit concrete, you want a bit more kind of proof and evidence, if you might want to call it that.
That alone has described my whole being. Seriously, exactly it. I've never felt like a fit in. I've always felt like an alien. Have been afraid to speak up, although I have spoken up a lot, and I've been bashed down or flitted off, and it's, you know, made me feel like I can't or shouldn't or whatever to upset other people.
Yeah.
Thing said, every single word for that, honestly, is exactly spot on. Describing.
Interesting.
Love stuff like this.
Interesting. Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it. And to think self-help things for this include things like, let's just say somebody's listening to this, watching this recording now, and they're going, oh my God, I'm sort of stuck with that. Things like Tai Chi, or I love Tai, your son. I love that word. Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, brackets, out in nature, assertiveness training, space clearing, public speaking and acting courses, and adventure training.
Ooh. Yeah.
And suggested therapies are things like to help you kind of overcome this stuff: life coaching, hypnotherapy, psychic art, assertiveness training, energy psychology, and relationship called balancing. And I guess that's kind of where you and I met, with the coaching and hypnotherapy side, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's always interesting, because sometimes people go, oh yeah, I did that, or I'm thinking of doing that, you know. And oftentimes the things that are listed, people would have done that as part of their journey to get to where they are now. And so that's why people often say, gosh, it's like looking at my life, because yeah, I did that and I did that. Oh my God, and I've experienced that. And so it's been part of the, you know, the journey of that. So yeah, interesting. But you know, the body and organ associated with this one is the right foot, and the quality of this is speech. So for people, it's often about finding their own voice, finding their authentic truth, having the, I guess we come back to the kind of the courageousness to be able to move forward and speak out and kind of have your place in the world. So, and it's interesting that if people were to go back and read your posts, a lot of them on Facebook are around this topic. Do you know what I mean? Find yourself. Who are you? You know, what is your place? So it's always interesting when you, because there are times that I read someone's soul plan, I don't know anything about them, I don't know what they do, and then there are other times where I do know someone, so I'll have a little giggle to myself and go, oh yeah, that sounds just like them. Or there are times I've read to someone and I don't know them, or I know just seeing them online or something like that, and I go, well, that doesn't, you know, in my logical head that doesn't. And then when we do the soul plan, they go, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's like, wow. So it's always really, really interesting. Do you want to have a quick look at 9-9, the worldly goals?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Worldly goals. Okay. Potential attributes: peacemaker, catalyst, stable, protected, power, channel, healer, organized, and clairaudient. Possible challenges: reluctance to claim power, misuse of power, not so sure, but blockage of power, victim mentality, definitely been there, overly dramatic, no.
Mark's probably in the kitchen laughing.
I know, I told him what time we're on, I wasn't sure whether I should do or not. And I was wondering if this was anyone watching, I had no idea what this is. I've just had to explain it to Mark. I said, come on, it's called a soul plan reading. What do you think it's about? It's about a reading of your soul plan. He goes, well, what's that? I said, come on, you know. He said, well, do you know? And I'm like, well, I think it's this. Anyway, and I'm thinking, I really hope, I didn't know if it was going to be like naming names, like a psychic reading or whatever. I was like, I'm really hoping you're in it. He's in it, and you're in it, and people are, I know, are in it. And
but don't worry, no, it's not about naming names or anything like that.
So anyway, okay. Don't trust my own channel, seek gurus. Giving away power, possibly. I'm working on that one at the minute. Asking others. Vain. What? Kidney issues. This energy physically demanding.
And what that means, this one is called the shape of it's like the steely serpent, and this one is about almost like being plugged into the universe. So there's an energy and a charge that runs through you, so you want to make sure that you have a clear vessel so that the energy can flow freely. So that's, you know, when it talks about the energy being physically demanded, if there are blockages in the system, and funnily enough, you're all about clearing blockages in the system, you know, but if there are blockages in the system, that's where it can kind of get a little bit doubled up. So when you have it as the worldly goals, one of the things that you're here to do is to fully claim and balance your power. so that you're not, giving it away, or, do you know what I mean? It's not going too much one way or the other. And it's really about kind of getting that sense of balance. So limiting beliefs that potentially sit with this one, things like I have no power, other people have the answers, I can't trust myself, I need drama to feel alive, people are out to get me, I hate myself, and I have to cause trouble to get noticed. And I laughed at this one because
my mum and dad watching.
But I've got this one in my soul plan as well. And I remember years ago, before I got into any of this work, there was a guy called Robert Kilroy Silk, and he had a show called The Kilroy Show. Now, I was just a guest in the audience. I wasn't speaking. I was just a guest. So I walk in, Kilroy, and we're all walking in together as a group. Kilroy looks straight at me, dead in the eye, and says, "Oh, here comes trouble." Do you know what I mean? And when I remember when I read this, I remember back to what he said, and then I ended up on the show as a guest. Like Kilroy did that thing, because he had this thing where he would sometimes walk around and go on, shovel up, and he'd make all the guests shovel up, and he'd sit next to someone. He sat next to me, and basically I became a guest on the show. And so after the show, people coming up to me in the green room going, "Oh my God, thank you so much for what you shared," because it was about relationships, breakups, and having, that was the one, that was a show where it was having a partner from a different race or a different culture. And so people come and go, "Thank you so much, I felt like you were speaking for me," and and this was years ago, probably in the 90s. And I remember it was a really weird day, because I came home and I said, that was really weird. Kilroy singled me out as being "here comes trouble," and then I end up on the show and people are coming to me like I'm some kind of celebrity and thanking me for my contribution and what I shared. And I think that was my first inkling of this work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is that thing where, I don't know if you've ever had that thing where you walk in and somebody go, "Oh, here we go." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I've had the "here comes trouble" from relatives throughout my life. Maybe I was conditioned to it. Maybe it was already there. I don't know.
But it's an interesting one. But this energy, it's kind of, and the nice one about this, it almost, there's an element of this one where even because you look at the soul plan, individually at first, and then you look at it in its entirety. So even weirdly, you might be one of those people that even when you're having ups and downs, you kind of know that the universe has got your back in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, always. Yeah. And
that will kind of come partly from the 9/9 energy, in terms of how it kind of shows up in the soul plan. So yeah, interesting. If you weren't already doing meditation and yoga by now, I'd be going, I really think you might want to look at meditation and yoga, because that shows up again as one of the self-help things. Also things like assertiveness training, balancing the chakras, counseling, healing, etc. But it's an interesting one. But this one, if there was a word I was going to choose for this one, it's about balance. So and again, that's kind of what you've just been talking about in terms of what is the retreat, what's it all about, and all the rest of it. So it's kind of interesting that is what you also spend your time doing for other people. Even with the physicality of it, the massaging, getting those knots out of the system, and making sure that the energy can flow freely.
I do think with people that go into business for themselves, I do think on some level that we create our business partly for something that we need or have needed on a normal physical tangible level, such as we can't find a good healthy restaurant, so we create our own. Or I've always taught that your ICA, your ideal client, is part of you. That I've since been taught it's not meant to be you, it's meant to be nobody you know or anything like that. So I created this person, which is something really interesting, actually. Just slight tangent. Everyone so far that is coming on the retreat has an element. I mean, my ICA, I wrote her down. I gave her a whole life, a name, everything about. I know all this person's fictitious. Every single person I've spoken to on the phone that's come in has a really strong part of this woman in her. And every time I've got chills by and I've not told them that, they're probably going to watch this now. But it's interesting because, that's it. So going back to this, but I do believe now that who I've created this from, I need this retreat or have needed it, know, and I think because I've felt the pain of the confusion and all the other stuff that we're trying to help people with so much and so often or whatever, I think that's why I know, I don't say I know what I'm talking about. I know how much this can help, you know, because I've done this, the retreat, if you like, over years on myself through people like yourself, through Come to You for Help in the past. I've been a client of yours and other people, and this is like the condensed version, but not condensed in terms of lower quality or less, but more impactful. I mean, what's going to happen in a week is incredible. But yeah. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so what are your thoughts as you have a little nosy at the spiritual side then? Give me your overview of that.
Okay. Excuse me. Potential attributes: great confidence, public speakers, media talents, unerring belief in cause, politician energies, capacity to teach. Definitely agree with all of those. The politician, obviously, without the corruption. Yeah, you know, and the puppet. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. I won't go down that one. Possible challenges. I might read this before I
read it to yourself.
No, that's fine. I think I'm going to read this because I think that a lot of people will relate to this, some elements of this. Lack of desire to relate, feelings of unworthiness, heavy repressed emotional baggage, held back from full expression. That's like suffocating. That's when you get problems with your throat, when you're held back from full expression, amongst other things. Appears detached yet ungrounded. Yep. Apparently, if I'm not smiling, I look really mean. I've been told. I have to smile to people know that I'm, you know, I feel like people think, oh, you're not interested, you're just detached from us or whatever. I'm not. I'm just concentrating on something else.
Yeah.
Cut off. Attract subservient roles. Emotional toxicity can manifest as mercury poisoning. Interesting. Feel unworthy to be a healing channel. Yeah.
And what's interesting about this one, because
that's so specific.
It is.
Yeah.
This is the very general report, you know what I mean? But what I find when I'm doing the readings, and it's rare that somebody will have the same soul plan. I found that people who are in our profession, like the healing profession, teaching, coaching, etc., I've found that there are similarities in terms of what shows up in their soul plan. You know, a lot of people will have the 9-9, for example, or the 7-7, and you've got the 7-7 in, you've got it in yours as well. But when I'm looking at the soul plan, different things stand out, even though I might be looking at two soul plans that are quite similar. But there's often a theme going on as well. Now, in your theme, one of the themes, because this one, the 17-8 means speech, tongue, mouth, communicating in society. And so that little squiggly shape is kind of representing the tongue.
Okay.
And it's about, you know, sharing through speech, teaching others. It's about also recognizing that there is a time for speaking. Let me tell you what it says let me just give you a little excerpt of this, because I smiled at this is one that I smiled and went, oh, wow, that's interesting, because that is like what you've created at retreat. It says the letter PEH means an open mouth or closed. It also represents the expression of insight, brackets, mouth closed, through speech, mouth open. We express the soul and we teach others. So there is a time for speaking and a time for silence. The highest level of teaching too can be silence. There is a transmission of knowledge given in silence and the unspoken stillness that draws one into a more profound understanding of beingness. Just being is enough. Just being is all there is. And this one is associating with the polarity of the dominion of servitude and mastery, slavery. But the whole thing about the silence thing, when I was thinking about that and looking at that one, I thought actually that's what you've created at the retreat. Because I know in previous years when you've talked to people about it, and even we did the video the other day, you were saying if you just want to come and rest and do nothing. You said that right from the get-go at Portugal, what, three years ago now?
Yeah.
And you were saying to everyone, although we're going to be doing things at set times, if you just want to come for the silence, if you just want to come for the peace. And we were talking about there are so many places to sit at the Cambio Retreats event in Spain. And so this one, when I looked at it, I thought, actually, that's kind of what you've also been creating for other people and teaching, sometimes through the silence of it all. Does that make sense?
Perfectly. Yeah, it sounds lovely. And it's true. It's exactly it.
So yeah, it's an interesting one. you know, with this, when you have it in spiritual challenge position, this is one more tending towards, and so this is all about potential, doesn't mean it is, but it's more about self-worth issues, where you might have at some stage said to yourself, who am I to channel? Who am I to heal? So you're almost questioning, do you have the skill, the authority, the rights? Do you know what I mean? To do what you're doing, and really getting clarity on that and going, yes, a bit like the Obama, yes, we can, you know, yes, I can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So part of that is about, you know, just going, yes, I do, I can. This is, I'm thinking of The Greatest Showman now. This is me.
I've yet to see that, but I know what you mean. It's true. I know I can do it. I know I do it on a one-to-one, but to say, hi, I do this is different. I don't do that, but I do.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? I do.
And you know, when it says like a teacher, because yours has had that teaching element through it all the time, I always say to people, it doesn't necessarily mean standing up in front of a class, or as I often say, or running a workshop, because when you say that, if people are very quiet and introvert and whatever, they don't want to be on a platform now, oh my God, but then I remind them, you could be teaching in the office, where just by osmosis, or you might be helping someone, you know, if you're customer facing, your customer service, you might be imparting some sort of knowledge. You could even be having a chat with someone in the supermarket, and you say something which for them is deeply profound and just what they needed to hear. So you've in some way, shape or form transmitted some kind of energy, knowledge, etc. to another person. So it's not this always a straight out, now I'm standing up to teach a class or run a workshop. There are different ways that you find to communicate with people and kind of help them in, you know, whatever their journey is as well. So
I think because I've been a teacher in a college in a normal capacity. Did you not know that?
No.
I taught for 3 years. Sports therapy, reflexology, anatomy, physiology, advanced massage, Indian head, all those modalities. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I was a teacher, you know, with a badge and everything. with a board and everything. Yeah. Taught massage. Fantastic. Plus doing workshops. Yeah. I was actually asked to come back to the college where I trained to be a teacher on the same course that I was a student at a couple of years later. And I didn't expect that. It came out of the blue. So if this reading had been done then, or maybe like just after it, it'd be like, oh my God, how did you know? Kind of thing. But I absolutely love teaching. I get such a buzz from it. And my classes had music going on and everything. And I don't think it went down very well with the authorities there, because my lesson plans, I wrote them all at the end of the year after I'd done the lessons. You know, because sometimes
you know where it says doing things your own way, structure, and then there's Kathy doing things her own way. That will be that 11-2 energy.
But you know, if a student or a client asks a question in a workshop, sometimes that question is so powerful. By answering it, you can make a whole session out of that, and you serve everyone. So sometimes this person would ask this question. I'm like, actually, that's a good, rather than just say, we'll do that on lesson, whatever. They have that need for that now. So if I can answer that by demonstrating that in a massage and showing the effects of it there and then, if you do this, the leg will go red and the skin and and then everyone benefits. And it's a bit like, it's student led. It's kind of a little bit like Montessori led, you know, for kids, student led, but not completely so that they take control over the direction of everything. But I think just sometimes I'll see something or hear something on the radio on the way to class, and I'd be like, oh my God, that'd be such a good thing to do today. I do actually have a plan, I must add, before I arrive. I get quite excited about my lessons as well. But it's like Zumba, when I used to teach Zumba. I mean, on stage, give me a stage and a microphone and an audience. I'm happy as anything. I love it. Even though sometimes I can't get my words out, I need some more training in that department. But yeah, I love that. Being able, that is, to me, is like almost the ultimate buzz, you know, and satisfied. I used to go home, you know, I've got to say this quickly, and hopefully someone can relate to this. So hopefully this can benefit somebody else. When I was first asked to teach, I was so nervous about going to my first lesson, because they literally gave me a folder of jumbled up notes. Here it is. There's the course. I was like, what? Made some kind of sense out of it. I was more nervous than I was on like my first date ever. I was crapping myself. I was so terrified, and I couldn't think straight all day. So I go there, I planned 3 hours of content, I went there, delivered it, checked my watch, half an hour had passed. I was like, shit, okay, well, tell you what, have a break and all mingle for a while. I was like, what now? What do I do? What do I do? You know? So what I did after that, I was like, just wing it. I said, right, tell you what, all this theory on massage, who wants to be a demonstration model? Someone lay down, I'll demonstrate a leg massage, and then I was in my element and it just flowed. And you know what is the greatest feeling of being a teacher? When all your students are looking at you and they're going, and that little head nod, it's like, oh, this is so nice. I love it. And it's like, and it's depending what your background is. And I was like, someone believes me. I think maybe it was satisfying and in need of me. Someone believes me. You know, someone is taking what I know and understanding it, and it's changing their lives. And maybe that's why I like doing the retreats so much. I don't know. I don't know. But this is really good. I know you said this is a general reading, and but it is. I'm finding it really specific, and I think this will be really good, even if it's just to give a person that's maybe unsure just some clarity on where they are now is actually okay. It's not a fault. It's not you're on the wrong place. It's just okay. It's just you. You know, we all have attributes and we all have challenges, and it's how we deal with it. But and like you said, people in the supermarket talking to someone and giving advice, someone might think, well, anybody would do that. No, they wouldn't.
No.
They so wouldn't. I've asked people, I'm like, you know the answer. I know you do. But they just can't be bothered to tell anybody, or they just haven't got that kind of nature that they want to help somebody or teach or anything. They're just in their own.
And it's always really cool because there are times where people do a soul plan reading because they're not sure. And so when we're doing the reading, like one of my clients, they kept coming up with this. She was a teacher. Now she works in local government, in the local authority. She's not a teacher at all. And she said, Marilyn, she said, it got to a point. She said, I was assigned a new mentee, and did a couple of sessions. And he turned to her and he said, you're such a great teacher. And as he said it, she smiled, and then she remembered what we said in the soul plan some months before. And then a few months later, he comes back to her and he says, my friend started at a similar time to me. He's also been assigned a mentor, but he's not, their mentor isn't as good as you. He says, could you be my friend's teacher as well, please? Do you know what I mean? So it was showing up in that, still in her day job. It didn't mean she was leaving her job and going to be a teacher or anything like that. But it's like the energy of your soul plan finds you. And it's either
I like that line.
Those things, or it's like coming attractions, but now we're down to personal choice. Do you know what I mean? Even if it kept talking about teaching and articulating and all the rest of it, doesn't mean you have to do it, but it can be that thing where people go, oh my God. So it's always really interesting. And one that made me smile for you when I said it was, oh my God, wow, when I saw that you had the 7-7 energy in your soul plan. Because the 7-7 energy is about being the catalyst to bring people together. So if you look at it, it looks like links in a chain.
Yeah.
When you see a bigger picture of it, the links in the chain are open. So what that means is you draw people in for a limited period of time. They come in, get what they need, and then they can flow out again. Whereas there's some like a cult that does the same thing. It brings people in, but because the links of the chain are closed, once you're in, you can't get out. Whereas what the 7-7 creates is a dynamic thing where people come for what they need, like they're attracted to it, they're drawn to it, and then you let them go again. Do you know what I mean? You're not trying to hold on to them and bring them in. Does that make sense?
Yes, and any of my massage clients will vouch for that, because I always say, I don't want you to be dependent on me. And they're like, yeah, but surely you get more money if I keep coming back. I say, there's enough people in the world. Honestly, I want to make you strong and free and pain-free. That gave me chills when you said that, Marilyn. Yeah.
Well, as you can see, it's so where you can say what you want to share from what it says on the 7-7 before I say anything.
Yeah, I don't want to just end up just reading a whole load of qualities out and boring people. Because it's not about me. It's kind of, this is to demonstrate, isn't it? So, magnetic catalytic.
It's your soul plan.
Magnetic I can never say that word. Catalytic. Yeah, objective, logical, open-hearted, demonstrative, charismatic, excellent networker, facilitator, and versatile. I think the strongest one there is versatile, definitely. Possible challenges: unintegrated, denial of shadow, mistrust, yep, isolated, hermit. Oh gosh, I've got the certificate for that. I can almost be crazy cat lady without the cats sometimes. Shouting at children in the street. Controlling, I don't do that. Prone to fantasies, no comment. Yeah, no, I do actually go off into fantasy world often. Left foot issues, not at the moment. So on the right, reticent to engage and non-participation.
Cool. And where you have it in the spiritual talents, this one talks about, I'm going to be specific, I'll tell you exactly what it says. It says able to facilitate spiritual groups and draw people to them.
Ooh.
And so when I read that one, I was like, that's Cambio. That's what it's about. The retreat is about. It's a spiritual group. It's drawing people in and then creating this wonderful catalytic space where they can get what they need. Do you know what I mean? So if people go, oh, I'm not sure I'm on the right path, then they do, and they go, oh my God, that's totally, they're either planning to do it or they're doing it. And so it's almost like just a little nod to just say, actually, of all the paths that you could take, this is maybe one that, would bring you that sense, like you talked about with the teaching and the head nod, it will bring you that sense of just making your mark on the world.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
Great.
Yeah. Yoga, yoga, which doesn't show up all the time, trust me, but yoga is in yours again as self-help methods. Oh, that's so funny. Dance expression to free up physical rigidity and control. Miss Zumba, because the pictures of you dancing are just so fantastic. And there's one where like your hips are over one side and the top half of your body is on the other. So again, things like that make me smile because I'm like, yeah, that's totally what you're doing. People end up doing things that it talks about in the soul plan just naturally. But when you look at it, it's like, that's great because that helps with the energy of it. That helps to keep the kind of fluidity going. And it also talks about facing your fears and the shadow side. And I know a lot of the exercises that you devise on the Cambio retreats gently help people to do that. With the writing exercises you do, I won't say any more than this one with the bits of paper, the bagging, all of that stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, this is totally Kathy in terms of, what you're creating for others as well. So yeah, interesting. So while we're at it, we might as well take it home and look at the spiritual goals and the soul destiny. Have a little nosy at those.
Just a note on what you just said.
Yeah.
I think I'm finding this useful because it's nice to hear about. It's lovely to hear about yourself, isn't it? But at the same time, if there was ever any doubt, because I know I've doubted what we're doing at Cambio, and I openly admit that, in just moments, I've had, as we all have, in whatever we're doing, we've all had moments of doubt, I am sure. Even in the deepest, darkest depths of the corner of the bedroom, I've had our doubts, and even if it's obvious. And I think reading this and hearing your interpretation of what this is just, I think I mentioned it before, it's just clarifying that it is okay and it is right. And so we all waver, we all wonder, somebody just has to say one thing and it's going to knock us off the kilter. And I think it's just clarifying and cementing and strengthening what we already deep down know anyway. We're just having our own insecurities and doubts in the moment. And it's not because there's any doubt as to whether it's all relying on somebody else's opinion on whether you're okay or you're in the right place at the right time or this is you or what you are and are not allowed to do. It's not. This is at a spiritual level. This is an energetic level. This is not, this person thinks that you should, this is not your opinion, is it? This is ancient stuff, that you're just the channel, you're just putting it into words so that I can understand it, so everyone can understand it. So I think that's what the beauty that I'm finding so far in this reading is that. So yeah, the other day I was like, oh my God, this retreat is taking me like a year to put it together, or 6 months actually, feels like it. And I'm like, really, don't want to go through all this again? And then I speak to someone like I did yesterday, the new lady, we have another lady come in, and I was like, oh my God, she's so lovely. I really want to help her, you know. And so, and then I listened to this today.
Yeah.
So.
And it's interesting you say that about, you know, others. Let me just tell you the limiting beliefs for the 7-7 before we move on.
Yeah,
I must display only my best side, you know, so that's about the judgment of other people. You want to, I am judged, I am trapped, I am under attack, I must control the situation, I must pretend. And so it's that whole thing of sometimes people feeling that, oh my God, it's got to be right, got to be perfect, and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Because like you're saying, the perception of others and all the rest of it, and kind of that, oh my God, is this right? Am I doing it right? And what will I say? What will people say if it doesn't work? Get it wrong. So, but it's one of the things I think is interesting about the soul plan. I know from my perspective, when I looked at mine, it's like it calls you, and so when I first saw mine, and then the reason why I wasn't that impressed with the first soul plan, it was just on my name, Marilyn Devonish. And I looked at it and I thought it's a bit like a horoscope, it's all right. And then we got halfway through the practitioner training, and the trainer, Blue Marsden, kept going on about your birth name, your birth name, your birth name. And before we went to lunch, I said, Blue, what do you mean your birth name? Can you just clarify? And he said, oh, the name on your birth certificate. And I went, oh.
That name.
Then I was like, well, I have got a middle name, but I never use it. So I didn't give it to the office. And he was like, okay, we need to get you another soul plan. And so they somehow managed in the lunchtime to get another, you know, print one off, prepare one, get one to me. And then when I read the one with my full name, that's when my jaw dropped. And I was like, oh my God, that's my life. And then I thought, I wish I'd had this before, because it would have saved me like 13 years of struggle. But I don't really believe that to be true, because my thing is, you go through what you go through, and things will appear at the right time. So had I not had that 13 years of struggle, or even a life of struggle, probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. But there was that little bit of going, it just could have made it a bit easier, or at least to kind of go, it's going to be okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Go on then, what's your middle name?
Oh, no, we don't. Well, that's one that's like, that's nobody knows that. It's not even on my passport.
Isn't it? Oh, wow.
No. I don't use it at all, but that's why I'm always saying now, please, when I'm doing your soul plan reading, send me your birth name, as in the name on your birth certificate. That's a sentence I use because I know that it makes a difference. You can do an overlay soul plan. So that's on the name that you call yourself in a day-to-day life, or you can do an overlay for your business, or if you call yourself Fifi Trixabel, you can do it on that. Do you know what I mean? But we always start with the energy that you came into when you were born, and the name that was, I guess, I like to say, bestowed upon you, because that really kind of carries the, you know, the energy of what we're talking about. Okay. So yeah. Cool. So if there's anything, this is the one that made me laugh, actually. You know, when I went, oh my God, with the 15-6, it said, it talked about stomach issues must trust their gut. When I first went to that retreat, it was the healthy gut retreat. Yes. Do you know what I mean? And that just made me smile.
That's right. It's true. And that's been detected by many people over the years, like intuitives and spiritual people that have done Reiki. They've picked up, before I ever had any stomach issues, they picked up on that. And I was like, no, you know, in my ab days, those days when you had abs and stuff. So, and,
so just so I'm clear, because I know you for the healthy gut retreat in terms of helping people to make their gut healthy. Are you saying that you yourself have had stomach and gut issues?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And nothing major, you know, nothing.
Well, it said stomach issues possible, you know, so in the 15-6.
But I am sensitive to food, hence the fact that I've created this, hence the fact we did the healthy gut, happy gut, whatever we called it back then. Because of that, because I know that so many other people resonate with that. So many people have problems with the food. And I know my mum does. And obviously I've come from her. So genetically, there may be a tendency, unless I change the energy, which is what I'm working on now, is to change the energy. I don't, you know, it doesn't carry on. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And I smiled also because it said gut instinct in business, you know, again, so it's not just about the physicality where it's talking about potential stomach issues and about trusting your gut. To really kind of get into that, what you've worked on it on the physical side and the food side, and a way to strengthen that even more is to really, which is what you're doing. You know, the whole thing about Cambio retreats is a dream child of yourself and Mark, where you trusted your intuition and you went, I'm doing this, I'm hiring this massive villa and we're going to fit with people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
that is almost like the quintessential description of someone trusting their gut. It's almost like you did it on a whim. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you didn't do
like
it on a whim. You didn't do it on a whim.
No, definitely not on a whim. No, definitely thought about. But the choice to choose that particular venue was done on a gut instinct. We went there. It was a wedding venue. We were looking at it for our wedding, which we still haven't had, by the way. But and then it was there, and then something happened, and I don't know who started. Whether the lady who owns it, who's lovely, asked us, or we asked her, or whatever. But it was just like, yeah, absolutely. And the one in Portugal that you came to, that was the same. The reason we ended up in Portugal, another story, but I was meant to be somewhere through other people's decisions. I was no longer able to be that place. So Mark and I had this time on our hands with babysitter, we had childcare and everything. My mum was there, so we were like, what are we going to do? We're not going to sit at home. We're off. So, and we had to be in Portugal because we had a flight still booked. He did. So we thought, we'll go there anyway. And we just looked up this place, which I literally pointed on a map. I was like, I recognise that name. I went there when I was at college. Because otherwise, how do you choose a place to stay, you know? So I was like, let's go there. So we just looked up this place. It looked fantastic. We went there. The guy who owned it showed us round. You met him. Yeah. Showed us round. Straight away, he just looked. We hadn't got retreats then. He looked at us, but we knew we were going to do them. I was doing them myself before I met Mark. Anyway, we knew we were going to do them. And that was it. We were there for a break. We were there for like a couple of days by ourselves. Then we went to Sevilla after that and had a lovely time. He turned to us and he suddenly said, do you fancy running a retreat here? And we just burst out laughing like that. And we're like, well, actually, funny you should say that, because we thought this place, we did actually think to ourselves, this place would be great for that. He had no idea.
Yeah. I just love it. I really, you know, I'm often saying you just couldn't make this stuff up. Do you know what I mean?
You couldn't.
And it's just, and everybody, you know, I know that everybody is, you know, can have access to their intuition, synchronicity, etc., etc. And I know that also there are elements of your soul plan that might, you know, ramp it up a gear. And it's then part of the way that you function and the way that you create more success for yourself, in your life, in your business, etc. So, interesting. And what I would always say about the spiritual, you know, we're looking at talents, the goals, and the soul destiny. Sometimes this is yet to unfold. There is more that will come from this. For example, so yours, for example, says can connect with the intuitive wisdom of the soul. It may be that in 10 years' time, wherever you're running, it's going to be something to do with the soul wisdom. Do you know what I mean? Just as an example, it might not be anything to do with now. You're like, oh yeah, that's nice, whatever. But then as things evolve, it's always interesting to see kind of what will come from that.
Yes.
So yeah.
And I do that on a personal level now.
Yeah.
But something you mentioned earlier, do I trust it enough to apply it? I do when it comes to making decisions in business, but to anything bigger, not yet. As into it to apply to other people, I tell them what I pick up. I'm massaging them or working with them, whatever. This has come to me, and I'll say it. Whether I was comfortable to stand in front of a room of people like you and connect with the soul and bring it all forward like that, not yet. But seeing that, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not weird for thinking I can do that. That's pretty viable, you know. So yeah, great.
And I always say with the soul plan, it's not about rushing and go, right, well, I've got to start doing this and I've got to start doing that. As you've already seen, there's a natural unfolding.
Yes,
and you will find that, because all the things everything you do so far, you've just done that, and there'll be stories, I'm sure, behind all of the ways that you got into Zumba, and you got, you know, it'll be something about everything. So it's going to be exactly the same with that. So it's not saying, oh my God, I've got to sit down now and work out a soul wisdom retreat. It's not that at all. But if it's meant to be, or if something will go in that kind of direction, in the same way everything has unfolded, whatever that might be, potential, because it's all about the potential and possibility. That's when I say, watch this space. It's going to be really interesting. And it may be that there's more work to do for you with regards to trusting the gut instinct, and even more, do you know what I mean? But not to be rushed. There'll be things that happen and opportunities that show up that facilitate that.
Yeah.
So interesting. So yeah, the 15-6 was made me laugh because it was all about the guts and the stomach and I'm like, oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
And then at the center of it all sits the soul destiny. So that the premise of that is, what is your soul here to do? And so yours is the 10-1 energy. And again, if somebody were, let's say, reluctant to the teaching, speaking, vocal expression, it turns up there again. Do you know what I mean? Yes. So, but you're already in the energy of that, but sometimes people are not. So it's almost like a little glimpse of potential coming attractions. So any initial thoughts on the 10-1 before I give you a little bit more info on that?
Okay. About the yin yang, male female balance, I like that. That makes sense. Excellent healers, inventive, power, many spiritual abilities, vocal expression, channel, possibly service, incarnation. Oh, a possible service incarnation.
Yeah.
Interesting. Denial of spirituality, severely critical. Yeah. Self-loathing. Don't really resonate with that. But it goes on the feel alienated again. Perfectionist, definitely. Insecure, even though I say I'm not that insecure. Probably I have to be to say that I'm not, I must work to establish self in the spiritual. Yeah.
And this one, the 10-1 is about being of service.
Okay.
Now there will be times where somebody goes, I don't know what I want to do. And now we just have to say, you're going to be doing something where you're of service. And being of service, you can be a refuse collector. You can be, we don't have bus conductors so much now, but, you often pay the driver. But you know what I mean? That's the way you can be of service, or you can be of service in a practical way, like you're doing with the massage teaching. So, but there's going to be some way that you are of service to society, because that is kind of, and when you have it in the soul destiny position, this is about your driving force with this one is to kind of master your conscious personality, as they put it. And so this will be, oh man, it's kind of about mastering the self in this lifetime. And they say it in the way they describe it as coming to full soul consciousness. So it's almost as though part of your journey is to really discover who you are, and what is your soul here to do, and as much as you can mastering this thing that we call ourselves. Is kind of what that sort of energy is all about when it's in that position. And with regards, and when you're talking about denial of spirituality, just like on my soul plan, for example, I've got the worldly 10-1 as my worldly challenge.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was, again, big issues, difficulty adjusting to the physical, absolutely, totally, with the childhood that I had. In denial of spirituality, that can block the spiritual progress. Well, that couldn't be further, that is what I do now couldn't be further from. I was studying to be a chartered accountant immediately before I became a hypnotherapist. And I had a business studies degree. I did the Chartered Institute of Marketing diploma, worked in the city. So I couldn't be any further from a spiritual path. And so when I say that now, people go, oh, no, that's not you, Marilyn. I'm going, no, you're not hearing me. It was me. And the way that I could get out of that was to get into the healing, being inventive, the power, many spiritual abilities, vocal expression channel, and finding my way of being of service. So when I look at the possible challenges, the denial of spirituality, all that was me right up until the age of 32. That was, if you pretty much put that on a CV, that would have described me to a T. It doesn't anymore, because I overcame that and I found my voice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
and the thing is, that's not, I've spoken to people before and they've thought, well, now I'm all right now. They've had the transformation. I'm all right now. So that was the bad. And now this is the good. It's not bad beforehand. Your chartered accountant lifestyle and your corporate city and everything like that, that wasn't bad. It just is. It just was what it was at the time. And it suited. We all do the things that we do with the best information that we've got in the moment. That's the idea, generally.
Absolutely.
So it just was. And then now you're not there. You're here now doing what you're doing now. Thank goodness.
Don't you regret it? And I say not at all. It's out of my system. What I would have regretted if I hadn't done it for whatever reason, because I didn't have confidence back then, very low self-esteem. So it even took that to, okay, I can do this. And I'd say the bigger regret would have been never doing it and then wondering, oh my God, what if I, do you know what I mean?
That's the question. That's the question that I never want to have to say that. And that's what I wish for people. You've just hit it on the head. Never have to wonder what if. Never have to wonder what if. Seriously, just give it a go. Whatever it is, if you've got good intentions, and generally speaking, you're not out to kill anybody or hurt anybody intentionally, then I think just whatever your thing is, and you wouldn't do, I'd love to give that a go. Do it, and then you'll be fine. You'll be looked after. That's my view.
And you know, for me, and I always say to people, look, I suspect that because I was I think 3 or 4 papers away from finishing the ACCA, and I say, look, even if I completed that and I had done my chartered practice and all the rest of it, I suspect that now I would be a 51-year-old chartered accountant who's just discovered NLP and is taking herself off to a weekend workshop, or is having her soul plan done, and it's going to open up a whole new world. I think it would have found me eventually. And I would maybe be in that position, because I meet a lot of people who are in their careers, either they're right in the middle of it or they're getting to the end of it, and they're like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I don't want to do this. I know there's more. I know there's something different I could be doing. What the hell is it? And that's one of the reasons why they might come and do a soul plan, for example, to help get clarity. Yeah. So I think regardless of which path, I think what's in my soul plan would have found me anyway. Right. But maybe just 30 years or 20 years or 40 years later.
Did you come from, were you working for a company as an accountant and then you went self-employed? What was the transition?
The transition from that, I was working for an investment bank, ABN AMRO, in just opposite Liverpool Street Station. And I had decided that because I didn't have any confidence, I came up with the bright idea that if I had a proper job, rather than just working for a company and having a fancy title, that it would give me, the way I put it in my mind, I said it to myself, it would give me some gravitas, you know, to walk into a room and say, I'm a chartered accountant, that's, you know, said something. So that was kind of how it came about. And the reason I didn't go for what I really wanted to do, which was law, is because my older sister is the one who is very academically bright. If it's something takes 3 years to do, Jackie's going to do it in 1.5 years. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I was the person who was just about scraping by, and I didn't want. I didn't sit down and say it to myself like this. It's only when I started doing the breakthrough work I realized what had happened. But I knew I didn't want a direct comparison, because prior to that, Jackie and I had done slightly different subjects. So where she might have gotten an A and I got a C or a D, because our subjects were different, well, I could go, well, physics was harder. Do you know what I mean? So I didn't want a direct comparison. Otherwise, I would have genuinely studied law and become a lawyer, but she's a lawyer. But I figured, what's a proper job that I can do that when I say it, it's going to give me the confidence that I'm looking for? And so that was by a process of elimination. I came up with accountancy, and I liked it when I did my A level, and I really enjoyed it when I did my business studies degree. So I figured it will be fine. And so then what I did is I gave up my job in the investment bank. The plan was to do both. But that's when I was suffering from all the fatigue stuff. So I was already needing to sleep 12 to 15 hours a day. So now trying to study on top of that, it was just not going to work. So I gave up the job in the investment bank to then go to study accountancy full time. And I was in the process of studying, and I just took a couple of weeks off to do the NLP training, because somebody had mentioned to me that they use NLP to train their staff, their salespeople and coaches, and she said it'd be good for my presentation. I see. So that's what happened.
The link, yeah.
So it was a fluke, and of course when I signed up, and then I realized I'd accidentally signed up for hypnosis and timeline therapy in Huna, and that's why I tried to get a refund, because I'm like, sorry, I've signed up for a communication skills course, what the hell is this? And they wouldn't give me the money back, you know. So it was one of those. It sounds completely ridiculous when you say it, but that's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
So I only went to the training to get my money back, because they said if you come to the training, if by the end of the 7 days you don't get massive value, blah blah blah, we'll give you your money back. Now I'm hopping mad. So I only went to get my money back, and I'm like, how, you know, what a con. You're going to wait.
Look how things get delivered. Look how things get delivered.
Exactly. So when they say denial of spirituality, it's like so spot on. I can't begin to tell you. You couldn't get any more in denial than that. Give me a refund.
That's brilliant. Did you leave? Did you okay, now you were all into hypnotherapy. Did you then say, right, that's it, no more accountancy? Or was it like a gradual blend into it?
I woke up, I did the practitioner, and I remember the moment somebody said to me, on the training, because she said, oh, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm studying to be a chartered accountant. She then said, oh, I can't imagine you being an accountant. Oh my life, if you could have heard what I said in my head. Who the bleep, I didn't say it out loud, I just went, but I was thinking, who the bleep are you to tell me what you think I can and cannot do? Do you know how long I've been studying? I will finish that course if it kills me. Those were the words. And as soon as they landed in my mind, and she'd walked off by then, and I'm fuming that how dare she not see me as an accountant. I was like, I'm really ill. I'm not saying it's killing me, but I think it's contributing to my levels of stress. And I know why I was ill with all the thyroid stuff and the radioactive, you know, I know the technicalities of that, but how ill I was almost just beyond. One of the specialists I saw in Harley Street, when he looked at my chart, he said, how are you not in a coma?
Wow.
You know, that, and he said you must be an alien from outer space, because he said you should be in a glass case and we should be studying you, because I can't even understand how you're functioning. Now, that was after all the personal development stuff. So I, you know, so, but I was, when I said I will complete this course if it kills me, it was a moment. She walked off and I remember standing there going, oh my God, maybe she's right. Because why would somebody making that very simple statement pull up so much anger and so much visceral? She never knew that. I just went, huh, and thought, how dare you? You know, as the how very dare you? You know, it's that sort of thing. But it was that moment, and I was like, Jesus, what if it isn't for me? What if this is contributing? Because I wasn't at that point, because of all the stuff with the early onset Alzheimer's, I was finding it really hard anyway. You know, so you name it, everything was going on. And
was this all stress induced?
Well, not necessarily, not just. It was, you know, a lot of it. If you know, when you look into the kind of effects of having no thyroid and all the rest of it, that's, you know, there are lots of knock-on effects to that. I know, but then when they were talking about the mind-body connection, I realized, like, you know, the thing about the thyroid. I remember the trainer, he was saying, you know, for example, if people have thyroid issues, often there's a communication blockage. And I remember sitting in the room, I had the folder on my lap, and we were going through timeline therapy and how to use it to this and that, and he was talking about the thyroid, and I thought, well, I've had a thyroid issue for the last 3.5 years. And I've never, at that point, I'd never spoken up about the sexual abuse as a child. I hadn't spoken up about my partner having an affair, which I was right in the thick of on the training. And I just suddenly thought, I wonder if all of that, keeping it down, keeping it down, keeping it down, keeping it down, keeping it inside, had contributed. I'm not saying it's the only factor, because you know, the overzealous doctor who overtreated my thyroid was, technically speaking, the person who destroyed it. But why did it start playing up before I fell under his hands? Probably because of all of the stuff that had happened from the age 7 to the age of 32, where I was always the quiet, shy one. So, you know, the chain of events is interesting. And that's why I say, when I look at mine is similar to yours. I've got the 9-9 as my spiritual talents. I've got the 5-5 energy as well. So we've got a couple that overlap. And when I look at my soul plan, I'm like, yep, I think it was meant to be. I think it was meant to be. You know. And this is my actual, this is the very first, the second soul plan I was given back in 2013, and I've written notes on it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? In terms of, oh my God, in terms of how it relates to me. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, the limiting belief for me is I do not fit in. I must not speak up. I must conform. I must hold back. And then I wrote an affirmation for myself here, which is like, I now step forth and express my spirit through thought and speech and action. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. It really is interesting. Oh, do you want to hear the healing affirmation for the 10-1 for your soul destiny?
Yes, please.
So it says, I am fully connected to the divine, to my higher self, and the infinite wisdom of source. I am a spark of divinity manifesting beingness. I am one with the onlyness. I am that I am.
Ooh.
So,
will you be able to send me that?
Absolutely, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to write it.
A message as well, which is quite long. It's all about love and being there and infinite sweetness and being the light. So I will send you that one as well. Yeah, and actually, fun. I'm going to read it now because I've just seen the thing about you keep talking about choices and how things turn out. So
Yeah.
the end of your soul message says, all apparent choices were also part of this, and all apparent choices are also part of you. Do you want to hear the whole soul message?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's quite a long one. So it says,
Okay.
all there is love. All there is now. All there is infinite sweetness. All there is light, steeped deeply, securely, steadfast, and at one with the power of you. Gently flow with the apparent reality. Take refuge in all there is. There is no other way. All apparent choices were also part of this. All apparent choices are also part of you. So, and it's one that, and I always say to people, you listen to the soul message, read it a few times and take it. And I'm laughing now because just underneath the soul message, where it's talking about ways for you to really, clear blockages, etc., it says NLP and hypnotherapy, which is kind of, again, what we did in those early days. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, but, and the soul plan can go, the soul plan book, trust me when I tell you, hold on a minute.
Okay.
It's a big read. There's a lot of detail that goes into the soul plan.
Word. Okay.
So that's just the one you buy from Hay House, etc. And then of course, depending on where something sits on your soul plan, it will have a slightly different meaning to the general report that you've got. But the soul plan can go into health issues, it can go into relationship issues, it can go into financial issues, because there are aspects that sit underneath the report that you're looking at. So it's kind of fascinating, really. So yes, that's a little bit of a sneak peek into your soul plan. So overall thoughts, any questions, queries, etc., etc.
I think that's great. I think that I don't know if this, well, just going back to your thyroid, just another example of that happened to me. And this is why it's important for people, if they do need to, if you are getting the nudge that something's not right. Like I had a pain in my jaw for a really long time. I forget now which side it was. Really, and it was really nagging at me. And bear in mind, I don't get sick or anything like that. It was years ago. And it kept getting worse and worse. And so I went to a dentist, not a problem. Went to doctors, no problem. Went backwards and forwards, and it got worse and worse to the point where I was actually popping painkillers like crazy. Now, I don't do tablets, if at all possible. I very rarely take painkillers. I've got to be in extreme pain. I had no pain relief during childbirth twice. So that's how that, not a thing, not even a paracetamol or anything. So that's what I'm saying when I say I don't take painkillers. So this pain was worse. That's how bad it was. So, and I went back, it was backwards and forwards, dentists and doctors. Anyway, that I've had caps taken off and it relieved and put back on. I had Reiki, knowing, believing in all this and all sorts of things. I've been down the emergency room 3 times in one night. I got turned away once. I was told I had a lung tumour from this. He said it was, I can't remember the name of the nerve. There's a nerve that's got 3, like mandible joint. I forget what it's called. There's a nerve that comes, it's connected with the eye, and there's 3 threads to it, basically, 3 branches to it. And apparently that was the problem. So I'm standing there in the middle of the night to being told I've got a lung tumour because of how my eye looked. My eye was the way it was because of the intense pain. Then I was told I have something else and something else. Nobody could figure out what it was. And in the end, I went to my child doctor because I don't go to the doctors either. And I said, look, you haven't seen me in years, so believe me, this is serious. Just get me into a hospital. Anyway, so eventually he did something and he got me admitted into hospital. And I said, and let me just stay there until they figure out what it is. And it got worse and worse and worse. And while I was in hospital, I was trying to run my business because you weren't allowed phones in hospitals in those days, under the covers, and change appointments.
I was going to say, it's the 11-2, doing it your own way. Carry on.
And my boyfriend at the time, I said to him, please, I can't actually pick the phone up to speak on it, but I can text. But if here's the people's numbers and everything, can you just ring them and change the appointments? Because I was a massage therapist full time in those days. You know, they need to know and all this. So he was like that. And he never came to see me. And he kept saying, oh, we're visiting hours, I can't come, and making excuses. And I was like, hey, this is a bit odd. Now, prior to all this, I couldn't put my finger on, there was something wrong with our relationship and I couldn't put my finger on it. But I had an idea. Interestingly enough, I've just realised this same relationship, Jackie Crooks, who's also coming on the retreat, helped me clear it through EFT.
Wow.
I've forgotten that. Oh my gosh. So anyway, and I couldn't put my finger on it, but I knew something wasn't right. But I wasn't saying too much about it. I was keeping it inside. And when I did, he said to me, you're crazy. You're making it up. You need to see a doctor, you do, because you're going insane. Right. When I did think of what I thought it was, which was that he was having an affair, but I couldn't, sorry, I did know that, but I couldn't prove it.
Yeah.
I could never prove it. And so he said I was insane. So, and I needed help anyway. And we used to freak out when I suggested certain things that I thought he'd done or whatever. So anyway, so I got in hospital and it got worse and worse and worse to the point where I literally couldn't speak. I struggled to speak anyway. I couldn't speak at all. So my throat swelled up. And then one day this new doctor came, a shift change, new doctor came and he said, you need to take her down to the jaw department. What's it called? Temporomandible, whatever, the ear, nose and throat thing. Yeah, that's it. Oh my God. And he said, and they looked and they found that I had an abscess, but it was in my jaw because I'd had my tooth capped repeatedly because to see if that was the problem, see if I had some dodgy dental work or something. It had capped it so well that instead of growing in the base of the tooth, it had grown down into my jaw. And it was this abscess. It was literally poisoning me from the inside. And the poison was now getting into my throat, which means I couldn't physically speak. Now, initially, it stopped me speaking by giving me the pain because it was too painful to talk. Because obviously, air going in and out was making it sorer or an ache more, and my jaw ache and everything. 6 months of this. If anyone's had a tooth abscess, you know the pain is going inside. Anyway, so they anaesthetized me. Didn't work. I could still feel it, held me down and whipped the tooth out. And apparently I didn't know the smell in that room was absolutely disgusting because it was pure rot. The pain disappeared after once the anesthetic wore off instantly, a little bit of blood, bit of cotton wool, done, over, just like that. And I knew then it's because I hadn't been saying what needed to be said. And being in that hospital highlighted what was happening because the fact that he was away and not where he was supposed to be and all this kind of stuff. So I said afterwards, and then that was it. As far as I was, the relationship done, gone. Because I said, well, and I did, and then I found out. And then I found out he was having an affair, funnily enough, with not the person I thought, somebody else. Which was, I was like, oh, I was a bit off the mark there. But anyway, so these messages that keep nudging us and then hitting us and then getting stronger and causing so much pain, you really have to listen because it will manifest. It manifests in some way to what's going on. And basically, I needed to speak up. So
definitely.
I've been not shy about speaking up, and I've been shy about and I've held back. You know, I think there's that finding that happy balance between the two, isn't there?
Absolutely. But
speaking
that was,
up,
you know, it is that thing for me. I knew for myself where it all came to a head, and that's where the suicidal thing came from. You know, my partner, a bit like you, were doing weird stuff. Like he was away and he was ringing at times where he knew I was at work and leaving a voicemail. I'm like, why is he ringing at that time? He knows I'm not here. And then when I was around, he wasn't, I can't speak now. Or, you know, or I remember the one day he was on the phone in the evening. He was walking through the street and he was outside a shop describing a Chinese teapot. And I'm like, we haven't spoken in like 4 or 5 days. And we used to speak every day. And I was like, why is he using our time to describe a Chinese teapot in a shop window? You know, it's just what, you know, those funny things that you just go, really? So when he came home, it was just weird. And then every little thing was upsetting him, you know, like, all right, really snappy, really short tempered. I say, what's the matter? Oh, I've got a lot of pressure on at work, And I just started the new job. And so it was my first week at my new job. So that's a bit insecure, you know, a bit insecure. Oh my God, is it going to be okay? And one day I came home sat on the sofa, and I just heard this voice in my head say he's having an affair. So I turned to him and looked, and I says, have you met someone else? Now, I didn't expect the answer to that to be yes. I just thought, oh, he's just going to say. And he went, yes, I met someone when I was away at a trade show. My world just stopped right there. It was like, no, what I almost couldn't believe that what I'd heard, because I was expecting him to go, oh, don't be silly, it's just pressure at work. That's what I was hoping for. I was like, but the voice was so, it was just like, I'll ask him if he's having an affair. It was like somebody said the words to me, and I was like, okay, crazy. But then even that, you know, to kind of save face, first time it happened, I just decided we just wouldn't tell anyone. And then the second time it happened, even though I had to tell a few people, because they'd be like, where is he? You know, and he decided to go and make a home with her, etc. And so even then the plan was, had decided, I would say, that he's moving to do a new job. He's going to settle in for a few months, and then I would follow him in a few months, knowing full well that the relationship was over. But because he didn't want anyone to know, and of course I didn't want anyone to know, because when your partner cheats on you, I just felt my self-esteem was already low. Now, how crappy must be for my partner to cheat on me? So I kind of went along with it. But now when you talk the throat thing, when you look back, it's like, how crazy could I have been to be keeping all of that a secret? And then
I know.
Pretense for now, it didn't get to the point of you know, because again, when I had gone to surprise him one day somewhere else, and I discovered he was having another affair, and at that point I phoned my ex-boyfriend and I said, what should I do? And he was like coaching me in terms of what to do, and I was just like, do you know what, this is crazy. I've already lived like this for 2 years, pretending it was okay and keeping it all down and biting my tongue when I wanted to say something, or blurting things out that I knew would be hurtful. And I thought, you know what, as much as I don't know how I'm going to cope on my own, and I don't want my life to change, because I planned in my head that we're going to get married and we're doing this and then we're going to buy a house. I just thought I can't do it anymore. But my answer to that was to commit suicide. So I didn't, you know, do you know what I mean? So it just seemed the natural thing. I can't cope with this. It's never going to feel any better, because I've tried everything I can in the last 2 years. I've done counselling, and we went to Relate, and none of it worked. So I might as well just end it all. So that's where the decision came from, to kill myself. But then when when it finally got to the point of it's like, now, as my sister says, no, shut me up.
I know it's hard to imagine, knowing you now, that you were insecure and unconfident and all of that, but you know,
seriously, this is how mad it is. At university, I had a Sikh boyfriend. Now that's a no-no. And his family came to visit, and we lived together. And because I had an exam coming up, I didn't want to go, because the library would have closed while they were still there. Then I'd be like wandering the streets like a nomad. So I just said, well, look, I'll stay at home, but I'll be really quiet. So they're downstairs having I'm upstairs in the bedroom. And there's a point, I'm sat on the bed and I needed something that was on the dresser. So now I'm standing on the bed and I'm putting a pillow down, and then I'm trying to lean across, and I knocked something off the dresser and it fell on the floor. And then I'm like, and at that moment I'm like, Marilyn, what are you doing?
Oh my gosh.
When I think that back now to what I was like, I'm like, oh, Marilyn, really? Just crazy. Who on earth would pretend they're not home in their own house? It's just, and I was up there for like about 7 hours.
I can believe it. I can't believe the things. But I could see a movie scene. That's that's classic. Something from, like, I don't know, not Bend It Like Beckham, but something, yeah, that would be a really comedic scene.
When I think back to it now, what I was like, it's like another world, you know what I mean? But there was a very clear line where it's like, okay, I'm giving up the chance of this. In answer to your question that you asked about 20 minutes ago, I was like, okay, I'm giving up the chance of accountancy. I'm becoming a coach and hypnotherapist instead. It was a no-brainer. I was totally congruent. And people thought I'd been abducted into a cult or something like that. I'd lost my mind. But I was just so sure. It's like, no, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Helping people to overcome the things that I now know it's possible to overcome pretty much overnight, you know. And go from
without all of that long
to going, whoa, wow, life is amazing. A month later, that's mad. And the following year, I became a Samaritan's volunteer, and their training is stringent and hard and raw, and Jesus, it's I can't even put into words. I don't know if it's still like that, but back then it was deep. And so you do not get through that training if you're not completely stable and a-okay and within yourself. Do you know what I mean? Because there are people I went to the induction with, and I looked at them all, and they, oh my God, they're going to do it, and they're already a counselor, and they're this and they're that, and pretty much none of them made it.
Wow.
None of them made it, because when it came down to it, they do, the training pushes all of your buttons, and if your reaction is to get emotional, oh my God, I know exactly what you mean. You know, that's nice in real life when you're having a coffee and a chat. Not
that's just anchoring that in.
And somebody called you and said, I am suicidal. That's not the time for you to then go into your stuff. So I knew coming through that training a year later, even if I was imagining that I'd sorted all this stuff, I now know that to be true, because you don't get through that training by accident. It's rough.
So that's a confirmation, I suppose, you needed, but didn't even know you needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
So it's been it. So when I went, you know, so seeing my soul plan 13 years after the fact, reading, I'm like, that's exactly how my life played out. That's exactly what, you know, victim of abuse, you know, sexually abused from age 7 to 17 is like, really, you know, it's just like, it was just so much in it. But then when I look at the potential attributes, that's what I'm doing now. But all of the stuff pretty much in the challenges, that was then, this is now. So it blew my mind, which is one of the reasons why I love the soul plan readings. And so when we were talking about, you know, what we're going to do for the retreat, I was like, I think that would be a good thing to do if people are up for it and they really want to go deep and they want to start pinpointing this stuff and not guessing and hoping or going around the houses. Because if you've got time, let's sit down and do a breakthrough session, but we're not going to be sitting down for 8 hours. Do you know what I mean? So this is a way that nowadays, if I'm doing like a coaching program with someone, I often do the soul plan first, because that just helps us, you know, hone in and really focus in the time that we have available.
Okay. So for people that are coming on the retreat, they don't know about this yet, unless they've seen it. They will have seen it in the copy that we've written over time, but haven't actually physically said to them, oh, by the way. So what happens? What do they get, if you like?
So what
they have to do?
That little thing on the screen, I've set up a portal for the people who are doing the Cambio retreat. So if they would like a soul plan, so we are going to do a general workshop on the soul plan. So I'm going to bring my soul plan along. I will talk to people about the, you know, the challenges, etc., what have you. I will bring it to life using my soul plan. If there's anything you want to input from yours, that's cool as well. And then people will have the option, if they want to do a private soul plan reading, they can do. Okay. And so what I've done is set up a portal, the link that I sent you today. And what people do there, you click on that, put your name and email address in. You don't need the telephone number, but if you want to put it in, it's fine. But you just put some numbers in. I've tested it. You can just put numbers in. And then what's in there, just so people have a little bit of an understanding about it, I put a link to a radio interview that I did where I'm talking about the soul plans. I put in a link to the soul plan that I wrote posthumously for Whitney Houston, because that will give people a flavor of, okay, this is what it looks like and this is how it plays out. And then there's a link if people wanted to book a soul plan, and there's a little form in there that says fill out your birth name. So you fill out your birth name, click on either the Stripe link or the PayPal link, and there's a special price for people who are at the retreat. So that's all within that portal if they wanted to do a soul plan reading. And then what I'll do is I will prepare the soul plan reports like the one I have here, and I will then bring those along to the retreat, and then we'll find some time to sit down, you know, privately, like we did last time, you know, where I took people off to do the reading. We'll do exactly the same, and we'll sit down and we'll go through their soul plan. I'll tell them what the numbers mean, what it means when it's in that particular position. We'll look at the limiting beliefs, we'll look at the self-help methods, and what we're also going to be doing is building a plan around that in terms of, okay, so it says, for example, a really good way for you to do this would be, let's say, for example, yours, where it talks about movement of the body and the yoga. So I'll be saying, my suggestion while you're here, get yourself to the yoga class, get yourself to, if Kathy's doing a Zumba session, get yourself to that session, even if it's not their cup of tea. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know when we did yoga last time, there was a lady there who was, let's just say she was retirement age, and she still did the yoga with modifications.
Yeah.
You know, and it was all about, as you're always saying, do what you can. This isn't about, you know, proving that you're Miss Bendy and whatever, all that. It's like, if you want to do that move, do that move. If you don't want to do that move, don't do that move. But we'll use it as a diagnostic to help people then navigate their way through the whole retreat. Because there are times someone's soul plan didn't necessarily say it in yours so much. I didn't look at all of it for yours. But for example, it might say EFT. So I'll be saying, right, please, while you're here, do some work with Jackie. Do the EFT. For other people, it might say being out in nature. So I'll say, if you haven't already done so, either go for a lovely walk or walk around the beautiful grounds, connect with nature, go and lie on the grass. If it talks about water, for example, I know it might be chilly, at least put your feet in the pool, because there's a whole swimming pool at them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're going to use it then to really get focused on what's going on, what are the challenges that are up and current, what are the limiting beliefs, and then we can do some work also to clear those. And we will, you know, I haven't seen your schedule yet, but in my mind, I'll do a session on soul plan, so an overview. And I think it'd be really nice if we do a group thing with the HUNA and Access Consciousness again, because that's a really good way, once people have brought stuff up based on the various things they're doing at Cambio, we then do some clearing around that with the HUNA and Access. And there's a meditation piece and a soul realignment piece that we do at the end of the soul plan session to help bring everything together. So it'll be a one-to-one going through their personal soul plan in a lot more detail.
Great. Okay. So from them giving you their birth name and obviously paying at the beginning, nothing happens, does it, until they arrive, and that's when they receive their
Now I can send it in advance. You know, I'm kind of, do I send it in advance? You know, but it's nice to hand things out when we're at the retreat.
This was lovely how we did this today.
So, you know, so it's either I'll send it to them beforehand, and so they could, because when I'm doing, you know, telephone and Skype readings with clients, once I've done the soul plan, I send it to them before the session, and they'll get their highlighter pen out and go, right. And I will say, you know, tick the things that you've already overcome. And let's say, it's like, you might look at it and go, oh my God, it said I've got many spiritual abilities, but I haven't. Highlight that one. If you haven't got it and you'd like it and you feel that, oh, I've always wanted to do that, let's know what that is. And if you go, oh my God, I'm already a channel, you tick it. So it's like, done that. If this doesn't resonate, leave it alone, move along. It's not about having to do everything, but what we're really looking at are what are the challenges that are up that you go, oh my God, self-loathing, totally got that in spades. For example, it would have been in my case, we want to work on that. So by the time you get to the end of those 7 days at the retreat, you're cleared, as you know, we're always talking about emotional baggage there. You're cleared of some of those specific things that you might not even have known were weighing you down.
That will actually be a good check-in at the end as well, wouldn't it? Literally go through the list like a checklist. Done, got rid of, gone.
No, it would be, absolutely.
That'd be fun.
Absolutely. Okay. It is. It's lovely, you know, and it's really nice because sometimes, I know you didn't, but sometimes people get a little bit defensive because they might go, I'm not insecure. And I go, you're not now, were you? Because we're talking about the worldly. And they go, well, I used to be. And I'm like, that's the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's also nice when you look at it and go, that was me then. Yes, I was in denialist, but yes, I was severely critical. Yes, I had difficulty fishing. And yes, I had And also, funny enough, at school, it was still never explained. They said it was a swelling of the bone. My right foot used to swell up to the point I've got the doctors and all the rest of it, and I've got the same thing on mine. I've got the 5-5 as my worldly talent, but the whole thing about the right foot stepping forwards, of course, I didn't step forward until I was 32. And so, when I really had a really bad sprain about 5 or 6 years before I got into personal development, and it took 6 months of just pure rehab to even be able to walk on it again, because I went down sideways on my ankle. And it was, you know, it's seriously, so there's almost like a little bit of a vulnerability there. It's been fine for the last, 10 or so years, but there was a time when I was working for it, always the right ankle, really. And I've still got the wobble board over there that I bought, and every day I'd have to be on the wobble board to try and strengthen it. And it was inexplicable in terms of how it started in childhood.
Interesting.
Well, supposedly inexplicable.
Yeah, supposedly, yeah. But interesting. Love how these things come about.
So yeah, so
Okay.
we're going to have fun at the, and regardless of whether someone's doing the soul plan or whatever, there's going to be so much happening at the retreat. With the exercises that you devise, they're always fantastic. So it's just going to be, an experience.
I haven't actually revealed even to you yet what I've got my plan more not precise, but more aligned, I think now.
Yeah.
And even what I knew last week that it was going to be, it's not. It's just juggled a little bit more, and it's every day. I mean, it's the last week. I mean, come on. I'm supposed to be sending the packing list out today. I was actually meant to be sending it out yesterday, so it's postponed till today, and I still haven't done it. So
yeah,
that with the dietary requirement form, with all I'm going to expect from the retreat, even though I already know because I've spoken with them personally, but just to have it written down, because what they said then, this is a week before, you know, trepidation, anticipation, and all this is going to come up. So I want to know all that. So it's going to help. So it will be literally, it's kind of time sensitive, all the information, because it's always evolving up until literally the day before. And when I see you, because you've got to get your flight sorted yet, so then we'll know how much time we've got to speak before they come. Obviously we'll speak online as well, but then I'll let you know what I know and kind of how, and then you say what you say, and we'll put it all together. And I just have complete trust and faith that it will work in the way that it's supposed to work for the people that are going to be coming. You know, I think
I've been to 2 of your retreats now, and that's exactly how it's played out. That's exact. And one of the things I think that's really, and we were talking about it yesterday on just the Facebook post, one of the fantastic things about it was made connections with people that I retreat 3 years ago and the one in March, and those people have become contacts and friends and people that you know, the connections that were made were really, really special.
Yeah, they are. People are, there's people from the last one, 2 of them, they now are friends physically. They, I don't mean that kind of physically, but, you know, they meet up with each other when they're in the same town. Yeah. You know, I saw on Facebook, I think yesterday, someone said, "Oh, you're in whatever town?" And yeah. And so they see each other, and it's like they wouldn't have known each other. And I love that. You know, I feel like a bit like, my work is done, you know.
But that's the 7-7 energy, that, you know, you're in the center, you're the magnet, the catalyst, you bring people together, they get what they need, and then off they go again. You know? So it is, that's the nature of that 7-7 energy. Where
I like that role. I was told I was a supporter. I did Roger Hamilton's
the wealth dynamics thing.
Yes, wealth dynamics thing, that's it. And a supporter role came out strongly. I've done it since then. It came out as, I think, Star or whatever that one is, the Richard Branson one. But that's, I like that role. And I say to people, Mark and I are just facilitators for you to develop and do your thing, you know, and then all of us coming together. So anyway, I think we've talked quite a long time.
The 7-7 facilitator is next to versatile.
Got to be versatile.
Yeah, it's great. And so, Kathy, do you want to just tell people, if they want to find out information about the retreat, tell them how they find out about that? Because I know you've got a couple of places left if people are quick.
Yes, if they're quick. Because I know somebody who's thinking about it at the moment as well. Yes, but it's on the 3rd to the 10th of November, which is a week on Sunday. And it's nearest airport is Malaga Airport, just to give you a kind of logistical kind of view of where you need to get to. Flights are really reasonable at the moment from the UK. I don't know about from other countries. And you'll find out about it on the Facebook Cambio Retreats page. Cambio is spelled with a K. And there's a link which Marilyn could probably put on under this in your way, because I don't know how to access your typey stuff going on here. So it's the Cambio Retreats Reset. I've called it many names: life-changing, reset, mastermind retreat. It's all of those. That's the event. So on the Facebook event page, that's the best place to get the information. I've posted about it all over the Cambio Retreats Facebook page and my page, which is Kathy Hector. I'm also on LinkedIn as Kathy Hector, if anyone of you on LinkedIn, and connect with me there, because I talk about the retreats quite a lot there as well, and share quite some information that I don't share on Facebook, not for any particular reason, just because it's a different audience. And the best thing to do is just get in touch and ask a question. I love to talk. You probably realise that now. Send me an email, cambioretreats@gmail.com. or message on Facebook Messenger. It will get through. The message will get through. Or if you can't get through, get to Marilyn, speak to her, then come to me, or however it works.
It's going to be amazing. It was amazing last time. I know it will be amazing this time. So just really, really looking forward to it and just seeing what unfolds this time and the wonderful connections that are made.
Yes, looking forward to seeing you in person in the sunshine, hopefully, as well. It's lovely and sunny. This light, by the way, that's on my face, I'm loving the light in this thing. It's the sunlight. I haven't got a light on. It's blazing through the window.
Wow, when you lean forward, you get it just right, it rises up your face. That is amazing.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Yeah, I've got the blind down partly, actually. This is the shady version. There it is. Yeah, it's really bright sunlight, so hopefully it will continue.
And also for people who are watching this as a replay, you know, you can type a comment in the comments in the thread. I'll see that. Kathy will see that. Kathy, do you want to give people your email address as well?
Yes, cambio@gmail.com. Cambio with a K-A-M-B-I-O. Retreats with an S at the end.
Wonderful. Oh, well, thank you, Kathy, for our very impromptu.
I know it was. I was in my pajamas when you said
I'm in my house PJs. I better go and get dressed because it's like I'm running a one-day video webinar workshop tomorrow. So I'll be sat here running the workshop. So I was in my house PJs and then my dressing gown on top, you know, finishing the slides. I'm like, oh God, I better go and get dressed.
I thought I better clean my teeth. I just had a load of chia seeds. I want chia seeds in my teeth when I'm smiling at everybody. Yeah, I better get on with my packing list because there's people waiting for me. I need to send it out.
Perfect. That'll be amazing. Well, thank you for sharing your soul plan with people. That is fantastic. And
thank you. Big thank you for actually doing it. I'd forgotten. You said this to me ages ago and I'd completely forgotten all about it. So I'd completely forgotten that you said you were going to do it. And that's when today I was like, oh yeah, that'd be really, really great. So thanks for doing it. I love, you know, knowing what's going on, if I'm in the right place and all that. So
brilliant. And thank you for watching. And if we're seeing you in Spain pretty much just over a week from now, you're in for an absolute treat. It is going to be amazing and the venue is spectacular. So we look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah, if you're even thinking about this, please don't just grab, honestly, I'm not just saying that because it's our retreat and we, you know, obviously you're gonna have to pay to come and all that. It's not about that. It's, you're not paying us, you're paying yourself. It's an investment in yourself, you know. But if you're thinking about it, get in touch. I will not try and persuade you to come because I have absolutely no interest in working with anybody or helping anyone who doesn't want to be helped. I'm sure Marilyn will agree with that. From her point of view, we only help people that want to be helped. So, but please just don't let this opportunity pass you by. We have no plans to do another one in the immediate future. Our next program is online in January next year. So people have said to me, oh, I'll come to your next one. We don't know if there is one. And if there is, well, there will be at some point. I can't say that because I love doing it. But we don't know when it is. We're not going for the once a year thing. We did 2 this year. And the previous one, group 1, was 3 years ago. You know, so, and all of us will not be in the same place at the same time. I think that's the key. You know, between Jackie, Marilyn, Rachel, Jason now, myself and Mark, we won't be all in one place at one time doing it this time in our lives, because obviously what we know and our experience is going to affect what we bring together, which is going to affect how we help you. So that it's a moment in time. Yeah. There's a song there somewhere. It is a Whitney.
I'm thinking Whitney Houston now. Yeah, go.
I was thinking Whitney Houston. Yeah. So it is a moment in time. So really, grasp the opportunity, lean into the opportunity. If anything flutters or stirs, or you've got chills on anything we've said, please act on it. You can always change your mind. You can always say, actually, I don't think so. It's not really for me. When we're having a conversation, that's fine. But don't miss out. Don't go, what if? It's awful.
Yeah, I know. And it's even a different dynamic already from the one we did last time. The one last time was completely different to the one in Portugal. Yeah. You know, so so it is. They're definitely very, very, very unique, and a unique opportunity to be at that venue as well, because it's pretty much booked out all year, isn't it? With weddings and boot camps and all the rest of it. So
we can't go there next year anyway. She's only got 2 available weeks next year already. She's completely booked out for the whole year.
Wow.
So even if we did want to run one next year, it wouldn't be there. We'd have to
Yeah.
find somewhere else anyway. But I think it's meant to be, you know.
Yeah.
I really, really love that venue. There's such a lovely energy there. And I think the fact there's been so many weddings there, I think it's just infused with love, you know, and happiness. There's been quite a few Hindus there as well. So there's probably happiness and fun and love and everything. So it's been injected into the
Brilliant. Oh, I'm
place.
so looking forward to it, and it's gorgeous. So yeah, Kathy, thank you. I will see you just over a week's time, and looking
At the
forward to
airport.
everyone who's coming.
It'll
And
probably be me.
if anyone wants information about the soul plan itself, if you're not coming to the retreat, you can go to my website, www.transformationstm.com/soul plan, and it's TRANCE as in hypnotic trance, F for Freddy, so FORMATIONSTM as in trademark. So www.transformationstm.com/soul plan, and you'll find the information on there if you wanted to book a telephone or Skype reading. Cool. Catch you later, Kathy.
See you later. Bye.